Welcome to video 2. Thanks very much for joining me. I really hope you enjoyed last week. I've taken on board some of the comments and hopefully this video has got a little bit more of a professional feel to it. The first thing I'm going to take you through is the last few purchases that we made to complete the build. Then I'm going to break down the one huge trick that I used to save a lot of money. After that, we'll have an unveiling. You should be able to see the hashtag 153 quid bike looking like a bicycle.
First up, we have the seat post. I don't know about you, but in my opinion, a carbon frame needs a carbon seat post. Not only is it aesthetically pleasing, but also there's a pretty nasty and complex chemical bonding process that can take place between aluminium and carbon, whereby your seat post can get stuck in a frame if you don't look after it well enough. We all know my experiences with seat post recently, so I'm taking no chances. I put in a cheeky bid on this, and luckily it came up at just £13. Okay, now we have the wheels. Every project has an area where you have to sacrifice for cost, and this is where we've saved the money on this build. This is 25 quid's worth of giant PR2 wheels. Now, looking on the bright side, these things are bomb-proof. They weigh more than some planets, and they've got more spokes than I know what to do with. I tried to get my hand in there to clean the hub, and so densely threaded are these spokes, I could just about get my hand in there. On the bad side, my first ever road bike wheels were a set of giant PR2, which are one up from these, and they weren't great. I thought it was normal to end every ride with white finger, having had a right bone-shaking trip round the tarmac of the UK. Now I've tried to mitigate this and also save some money by cladding these with a set of Continental GP 4000s that I took off my winter wheels from last year in order to run some Four Seasons this year. I'm not attributing any cost to these, because as I say, they were on my winter wheels last year, and I think I would have been just about justified in recycling them this year. I think, however, I should be able to get a season out of them. Here we have the Crankset, an Ultegra 6700 pair that would have originally come with 10-speed chainrings. Now here's where knowledge saved me a little bit of cash. I happen to know that this particular chain set has been superseded twice by Ultegra 6800 and Ultegra R8000, making it nearly obsolete in the mind of the sort of people who buy Ultegra. However, the spline setup and BCD are identical to rotor no Q 11-speed chainrings, and I happen to have a set of those knocking about from a previous bike build. This has allowed me to go for the more unpopular, not as desirable set and sneak in a cheeky bid for just £23 to be putting some proper Ultegra bling on this budget build. eBay. Well, we talked about Facebook Marketplace in the last video, so it's only fair that we talk about eBay here. It is, in fairness, a little bit better than Facebook Marketplace, but you will pay for that privilege. The advantage you're going to get is that you're usually going to have a more professional setup listing. You're going to be able to read a description, which is going to have at least a decent number of characters, because eBay prompts sellers to include more information. You're hopefully going to get more pictures, again, because eBay prompts you if you don't put enough pictures up. The difficulty you're going to have is some people can create throwaway accounts on eBay, and you are tempted to pay a little bit more money in the eBay system. The good thing on that, though, is that if you use PayPal, which is owned by eBay, and the two work together, you can actually get some pretty good buyer protection if your item doesn't turn up, or if it turns up and it's not as described. One thing I will say, if you're getting away from the budget end, where I suggest you filter by auction, because it'll let you have a little look at the stuff that's actually going to run for 99 pence, you've got to be careful of what you're purchasing. eBay's biggest downfall is that it's at home for fakes. Anything you're buying off there that doesn't automatically look second-hand could be snide. I've won a set of expensive handlebars on there before, and it wasn't until the seller messaged me to say, oh yeah, by the way, these are not coming in packaging because I got them off the factory and they come out the back door, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, no you don't, mate. They're snides. You know they're snides. I know they're snides, and I ain't taking a chance with fake carbon goods on my bike. But otherwise, it's a great place for you to lurk. Have a look at what's for sale, gauge the value against other items. There is a facility for you to search and see what items are previously sold for, so you can make sure you're getting a great deal.
In the previous videos, we talked about buying from Facebook Marketplace and buying from your friends. In this video, we've talked a little bit about buying from eBay. But where else can we rely on when doing these budget builds in order to save that final few quid? Ladies and gentlemen, I commend to you having a bits box. Or two. Or five. Okay, so maybe you don't need to go to quite the Scottish thrifty extreme, but in these bits box is pretty much every nut and bolt I've taken off a bike since I've been tinkering with them. And it saved me an absolute fortune on the hashtag 153 quid bike. From within these bit boxes, I got the chain that's going to run the bike. I got the saddle that I'm going to sit on. I got the handlebars that are already fit to the bike, and we'll show you that in a little while. I got the stem that I used to attach the handlebars to the bike. And that's all because while I've been buying and selling bikes and finding one that I really like and building up that old N+1 garage that we all aspire to, I've never thrown away bits that I thought could be useful in future. So a lot of these are just bits that came with my bikes and I've not wanted them. Now the pricier stuff, yes, that's going on eBay in order to bring down the budget of those builds. But stuff like a tatty set of handlebars, stuff like a saddle that I replaced a while back because it was starting to be a little bit creaky, that chain that wasn't quite worn out but I was doing a big event so I wanted to have a new one on there, to the Ultegra brake pads that came with a second-hand set of brakes that I bought and I wanted to have Swiss stops. Rather than throwing them away, they went in the bits box, and that's all managed to save absolute fortune off the build cost for the 153 quid bike. I really don't know where I would have been without it. Now, I don't consider it cheating using your bits box, because guys, let's face it, if you're watching this with intent to build your own bike, it might not be your first rodeo. You've probably switched a stem out, you've probably changed some pedals over, you've probably replaced the chain. And all I commend to you is that you look at the stuff you're taking off your bike with an ecological viewpoint. Can I save this from going in landfill and getting ruined and just rusting away? Does this have some utility later on another build, or even to somebody else?
To recap then, the items that I've used out of my bits box are these Rotor No Q chain rings, which came off a previous Crankset that I haven't been used in the last couple of years. This Roman Evo Pro saddle from Specialized. This saddle, by the time it's fit to this bike, will have been on every bike I've ever owned. It's an old faithful that I'll never get rid of. With the tyres and the cassette on this wheel set, the tyres are my old winter tyres, still reckon there's a little bit of life in them. The cassette is actually an 1132 from back when I used to run that ratio. I don't use it anymore on my daily bike. The stem, only God knows where that came from. Quite literally could have been attached to any bike I've bought in the last 3 years and has ended up in my bits box. Scuffed to hell, but you know what? It was 110mm, which is exactly the length I needed for my perceived bike fit on this build. The pedals, these are Ultegra 6700. They were attached to a TT bike frame when I bought it. I wasn't interested in running them because I'm a little bit vain. The bike's black, the pedals are silver, but that vanity isn't something I can afford on the hashtag 153 quid bike build.
And so we come to the end of another video. Behind me, you can see the rolling frame of the hashtag 153 quid bike, with everything we talked about last week and this week now attached to the frame. With one exception, and that's the crankset. That's going to have to stay off into next week as we wire up the bike and get the front end talking to the back end. Join me then as I talk you through how you, as an amateur at home, with a minimum of kit and a minimum of effort, can get this bike into something we can actually pedal in anger. Guys, thank you very much for the comments last week. Please, any feedback, criticism, whatever you like, in the comments section below, and I look forward to speaking to you then. Have a great week. Goodbye.